Some people used to call me the Great One. Some people used to call me the Green Man. Some people used to call me Oomba Loomba 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 Loomba. I've had many names. The first puppet I made was this one here, actually. This guy. Used nothing but knife and sandpaper for the whole thing, and it's got maybe about 8 or 9 different types of joints in there for the movements. But before I even finished him, at the time I was also doing taxidermy, and I found a dead squirrel on the side of the road. It just freshly dropped out of a tree and got hit by a car, and so it wasn't squashed, but it was dead. And I picked it up and just started moving it, and all of a sudden I was like, hold on a minute. What about if I turned this dead squirrel into a puppet? And that was the first puppet I ever made completed. It was a dead squirrel marionette, and I called him Rasputin. Yeah, I suppose that's how I first got into making of the puppets. So this is a swaddle. It's 2 pieces of metal bent with a little fabric reed in the middle.
Oh no, me! Oh no! Hello! Hello! My name is Punch! Where's the baby? Oh no! I dropped the baby!
It used to be a very, very, very highly guarded secret, and in fact even to this day Punch and Judy men don't really like talking about this. So just by me revealing this to you is a little bit of sacrilegious within the puppetry world. I use a lot of just found objects for making the puppets. So I've got my favourite puppet up there is Balthazar the Beautiful, and he's made out of a cat skull, glass eye. He's got a little
hood.
Yeah, he's got a little metal clamp for a hand. I've got some of them have got forks for hands as well as rabbit's feet.
What comes first, story or the puppet?
Before I used to do puppet shows. I used to make puppets and do walk around entertainment with them. So sometimes it would just be, or a little bit of busking for example, so I'd have a marionette that I'd dance to music with, so there's no story there. And then with the walkabout entertainment there's no story as such. But then when I started getting into the making shows, I'd have a couple of puppets ready, and then as I was writing the story I'd realise, hold on a minute, I need a few more puppets for this, and so I'd start making a few more puppets. The first show I ever did was called The Seed of Belief, and it was all about this magical land called the Forgotten Lands, and it was a place that was meant to exist on the imagination of children, but the place was dying, the place was dead. The show was all about getting these children to play again, and we all did a magic spell together with the children in the audience and created this golden acorn called the Seed of Belief, and then that got planted and the forest came back alive and the magic came back with it. That's another show that I did. There's a poster for it up there called Up the Wizard's Sleeve, and that was a naughty show just for adults. That was about a dark magician kidnapping a light magician's apprentice and locking him in a sex dungeon.
Oh, I'd like to have a go on you.
The sex dungeon was called the Chamber of Deviance, and every time the words Chamber of Deviance were said there'd be thunder and lightning sounds.
What are you doing up there with that camera, you?
The hands, lizard hands that I bought from a witch doctor in India, in Pushkar that was, and managed to smuggle them back to England. And I paid 20 quid's worth of hash for this puppet. My magical spoon! I love my spoon. I think puppetry definitely is a dying art. I think there's a little bit of a modern resurgence, but I think it's always maybe within the last maybe 50, 60 years or so it's been a little bit underground or a little bit just in the background. But there's one thing that I quite like about puppetry, as a performing art goes. So I do two different types of performing arts. I do stand-up poetry and I do puppetry. And with the stand-up poetry, there's nothing to hide behind. It's literally you, your words, and that's it. There's no music to hide behind. There's nothing. Whereas with puppetry, it's probably the only type of performing art where as you perform, no one's watching you. Everyone's attention is directly on the puppet rather than the performer. That's the great thing with puppetry. Is everyone knows it's a puppet. It's just that suspension of belief for the duration of the show. People can just sit there and allow themselves to be drawn into this theatre in front of their eyes, which I think is quite a beautiful thing.